Namaste. Today I present to you, and I have to tell you that this video is being filmed in the middle, perhaps, maybe the beginning or the end, I don't know, of COVID-19. In the year of 2020, a quite tumultuous year on the planet of Earth. We are now in the 6th month, as this is being filmed, of COVID-19, which is what this pandemic has come to be known as. It has been very challenging. Ordinarily, I'd be standing before you with a mask, a face mask. A face mask has become, we have to have it all the time when we're out there in the world. But of course, I'm just speaking to you directly from my own home, as is most every television personality and many other people, speaking from our own homes where we are safe, living with people that we believe are also safe and healthy. And I consider myself healthy during the middle, beginning, or end of this global pandemic. So it's very challenging, and I wish to share with you a bit of personal information that this pandemic, having brought two people together, in this case myself and my beloved husband of 42 years, that it has been challenging for us emotionally. We have had challenges that have brought things up that I could never have predicted or expected, nor do I believe he could have predicted or expected. And for this particular video, which will be personal and somewhat intimate, I'm going to read to you from the booklet that we put together for purposes of our legal wedding. And I'm going to share with you I don't know what to call it, it's not really a technique, it's something that we did our entire 42 years that I believe is responsible for me being able to stand here today and say that my beloved and I have been able to stay together in relationship for 42 years. And we've also been able to be alive and out there in the world doing what we do professionally and to raise our beautiful daughter, who is now, of course, for the past number of years, has been a full adult, living her life. I am going to just read to you a closing prayer that is in this booklet that we wrote ourselves. We wrote our own vows for our legal wedding. And I'm going to read that to start with. I will then share with you what we did that kept our relationship together. We promise to be ever open to one another while cherishing each other's uniqueness, to comfort and challenge each other through life's sorrow and joy, to share our intuition and insight with one another, and above all, to do everything within our individual powers to permit each of us to become the person or persons that we are yet to be. We now ask you to join us in our silent prayer that God will bless our relationship and our lives and help us to achieve our highest purpose. So what is it that we did that I do not believe many people I've met over the years have done, but I feel helped us to grow into what that prayer states? From the very beginning, we did not do relationship the way most people do relationship. And from the beginning, we each had a resistance to the institution of marriage, even that long ago. We saw that most people in our lives, both friends and family, a lot of them were getting divorced. A lot of them were not making it. So we chose to be together based on a spiritual marriage ceremony. We did that early on. I think perhaps the first one was done with a friend of ours who's a Zen Buddhist priestess. I'm not sure if that was the first or a later one, but I think that was the case. And it was something that we wrote ourselves that brought us into a relationship that was deeper than just boyfriend-girlfriend. We never got engaged. We didn't have a shower, but we did do the spiritual connection. Somewhere in that relationship, about several steps into it, we ran into a challenge, and it had to do with getting pregnant when we didn't necessarily plan to get pregnant with who became our daughter. So we did get pregnant, and she was born, and a beautiful, beautiful human being right from the get-go. And we continued on in relationship. Somewhere along the line, we ran into a difficulty, and we put the relationship on the table, so to speak. And we released our attachment to the relationship. And we committed to each other that we were either going to disband the relationship. Don't forget, we weren't legally married. So that could have happened any given day that we were together. Every time one of us walked out of the house, there was no guarantee, according to the way society guarantees it, that the other would come back. It was always a little bit living life in a little bit of suspense, and hoping and praying while the relationship was still intact that it would continue on both people's side. When our daughter was 5 years old, she became the flower child for our legal wedding. Our legal wedding took place 10 years after we were together spiritually. And after we had renewed our vows 3 times in those ceremonies that were just us by ourselves or us with friends or intimate family members. One time we did a workshop at a place called Hollyhock Farm in British Columbia, very close to Alaska. A wonderful, wonderful resort I recommend very highly to anyone listening to this video. And the workshop was called Learning to Love, a workshop for couples. And there were 10 couples. And through that workshop, 3 couples renewed their vows and did spiritual ceremonies when the workshop was over. We were one of those couples. A couple of the couples ended up deciding that their relationship was hopeless and they were going to choose to separate. But we were one of the couples that renewed our vows, once again, putting the relationship on the table, taking a look at it, salvaging what was good, creating another vow that was included with our original vows to cover what had brought us to the table that needed the workshop and that also needed to be upgraded in our lives. That renewal at Hollyhock Farm was very, very beautiful. So at that point, we had done that process 3 times. We just knew intuitively when we had to take the relationship and really address its foundation. After we were legally married, there came a time when we were both being trained as breath workers with a teacher named Sandra Ray and her husband Marcus Ray. And part of that training as breath workers meant that we each had to go to a significant place on the planet Earth where a 10-day retreat was being held in the training of breath work. We chose the island of Kauai in Hawaii. I thought to myself, and so did my beloved, if we're going to do 10 days away, we may as well take that item off the bucket list, Hawaii, and go there. So with our daughter in tow, we traveled off to Kauai, the Garden Isle in Hawaii. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And we did a 10-day retreat, which was beautiful. And our vows were renewed by a group of Hindu monks it turned out that had a monastery right next to the Cocoa Palms Hotel where we were staying. And these monks were with a Swami named Swami Subramanya Swami, an American guru who had created this beautiful ashram, and on the island of Kauai had this unbelievably, to this day, unbelievable facility. And his monks were from all around the world, and they wore mala beads similar to what I'm wearing today, except this is Rudraksha and crystal. The Rudraksha, the brown bead, represents the masculine energy, and the clear crystal represents the feminine energy. And I chose to wear this mala today because I knew I would be covering this teaching today. And this mala, which is used for meditation, the way that it goes is that the mala itself can be put in a bag that one would wear, and it's never using the forefinger. We meditate with a mantra, one bead at a time. And with this mala, it has the intention of blessing and energizing the masculine and feminine energy, the Shiva Shakti energy. So we each had a mala, and the monks that renewed our vows had the Rudraksha bead that size. It was literally the size of a quarter or a $50 around their neck. It was absolutely magnificently beautiful. And they renewed our vows along with two other couples who had their vows renewed. And they took the flowers that had adorned the Shiva statue in the temple where Subramanya Swami had his monks practicing, and they were also in the process of building a temple that had a roof, I remember, that would last guaranteed for 1,000 years. How they knew that, I don't know, but they did. And it's still to this day on the island of Kauai. It was very special. And the monks came to my husband and I, and they took the flowers that had adorned the Shiva statue that morning in the temple for that particular service called an Arti, Festival of Light. And they took the flowers and tied it around his neck and my neck. And they turned to our daughter and said to her, "Your parents can never get divorced now." And she put a big smile on her face, and it was very special. It brought tears to my eyes of joy, of happiness, of blessing, and of purpose. That was the last time that we officially renewed our vows, which made a total of 4 times in a relationship that spanned 42 years of renewing the vows. We just know intuitively when it's time to do that, and it's happened. And I share that with you if it has some meaning to you, to keep your relationship on tact, functioning purposely, functioning with a mission, rather than take the relationship that brought you together to begin with and throw it under the bus. To me, we're all humans, and we all basically, once we get together with someone, I believe if it brought us to that point, then it's worth investing the time, the energy, the attention, especially if children are involved, in keeping the relationship intact. That's just a personal belief that I choose not to drop on anybody else, but this is a way that you may be able to achieve what we've achieved. It is getting less and less popular to have people married for many years, and more popular to have people changing partners like we change our set of clothing. I prefer to do life sharing it with another and put all my energy into keeping that intact, as beautiful as it was the first day that we got together. I bless you. I honor you. I thank you for listening to this whole video, and I hope that it blesses your life as it has blessed mine. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.